What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Winners Circle. It's your boy Cody with another recap for this week of Big Brother. We have gotten through 5 weeks in the Big Brother house, and I have to say, one of the most enjoyable seasons I've watched, and probably of the recent seasons I've watched. Like, I was on in 16, I was on in season 22, and honestly, this is just one of the more enjoyable seasons. After 22, obviously, we started covering everything on the Winner's Circle, so I will say this season has probably been the most entertaining season for me since I started covering Big Brother on the Winner's Circle. We're going to jump into everything that went down this week, but before we do, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you turn on those notifications for the podcast and for the channel, because you don't want to miss out on anything that's happening. You don't want to miss out on random episodes that are coming. And I promise you, you're not going to want to miss out on something I have coming soon. Somebody that's going to be coming on the podcast. It's going to be enjoyable. It's going to be a great nostalgic episode, and we are going to love the conversation. So make sure you have those notifications on and make sure you're subscribing to the channel. I just got so fired up. I just hammered the microphone there. All right. So we're going to jump into this week's eviction. Spoiler alert. If you don't want to know who went home this week, now's your chance to get out. Giving you a 3, giving you a 2. It was Brooklyn. Brooklyn is evicted, 8 votes to 1. We kind of saw this coming, right? So this was something that was kind of brewing this week. Tucker really wanted Brooklyn out. And the week kind of shifted a little bit, right? So it shifted a little bit from who Tucker's targets were going to be based off of the new AI arena twist. There's a lot of different conversations that happen. Okay, what if this person wins the arena? What if this person comes down? If these two are on the block, who are we voting for? If these two are on the block, who are we voting for? And the week started out with Tucker dominating the wall competition. I will say this. They were on the wall for like 32 minutes, I think it was, or maybe like 35 minutes max. Like, that's a short wall competition. I promise you that. Normal wall competitions are a minimum of 45 minutes. And unless my reason, and honestly, check me on that if it's different, but it just felt short. It felt like Tucker could have been up there for forever. The way that they were making this competition seem was like, it was really tough because Quinn was like shaking up there. He was like, he couldn't hold on for any longer. And then when he dropped, they showed the time and I was like 32 minutes. It was like 30 something minutes. And I was like, that is barely any time. I know at least on the All-Star season, we were up there for 40 something minutes. And at that point, Danny, Nicole, and I were the last 3 on the wall. And I know for me, I was like, I don't want to win HOH this week. So I went down and I was like, they were barely up there. So for me, Tucker probably could have been up there for another 35 minutes. And I have to tell you this. We are going to get to the bottom of this whole my relationship to Tucker, okay? There's a lot of conversations going on. Tucker's now voicing more on the feeds. It's starting to circulate a little bit that Tucker and I knew each other. This hasn't been a secret. I mentioned this early on. I tweeted about it. I've talked about it on here. Tucker and I have known each other for years now. Years. It all started, I'm going to give you the backstory right here on the Winner's Circle so that there's no questions about it anymore. When I came off of Big Brother in 2014, I started doing the modeling stuff, the acting stuff in New York City. I had representation in New York City. Tucker and I had similar representation. We had the same acting coach. Shout out to Nina Morano, who is an absolute angel, sweetheart, love her to death. We were in acting class together for, I want to say like 3 or 4 years. And this was like intensive acting class. We were there 2 to 3 times a week. And so obviously through that, we formed a good relationship during that time. And so Tucker and I were very, very close, very similar. So it was really fun. Him and I have one of my favorite scenes that we had ever done together. And he talked about this scene on Big Brother, that he had like a breakthrough in this scene. And it was actually a very emotional scene. It was absolutely incredible. But Tucker and I have had this relationship for a very long time. Now, different things have happened over the years where I no longer was going into the city that often. I was not in New York City as much as I was when I was younger and doing all the castings. So Tucker and I are friends, but we hadn't spoken a ton until I finally got reached out by Tucker and he was like, hey, listen, I'm doing an interview for Big Brother. Do you have any recommendations for casting? And I literally simply said to him, Tucker, be yourself. You're a big personality. You're a likable guy. If you don't try to be something that you're not, they'll enjoy who you're going to be and just kind of correlate it to the show. But also, don't mention me. Don't mention our relationship. Go and do your own thing. What did Tucker do? Definitely did his own thing. I didn't hear from him. Actually, I haven't heard from him. The next time I saw anything about it was Tucker was on the show. Tucker was on the show, and I was like, this guy told me that he was getting interviewed and didn't even tell me anything after that. So putting it to rest, we haven't even spoken about him going on the show. But what I will say is, I'm just kidding. We talked a ton. I told him all the strategies. Everything that you're seeing Tucker do right now, I told him exactly what to do. And if you know me, you know that the gameplay that Tucker is doing is exactly what I would have told him because that's how I've played the game the past 2 seasons that I've been on. I got Christy in the room with me. She's going to be my quote unquote producer. She didn't want me to say that tonight, but I'm saying it anyway because she was like, people can clip it and spew it and make lies go on out there.
No, you clearly said it in a very sarcastic way.
So I did it properly.
You did sarcasm very well.
So I did sarcasm very well. What do you know, people? If you've watched me on Big Brother, you know sarcasm is like my middle name. So Tucker and I have not spoken. And quite frankly, it was really funny. I saw a clip of Joseph talking about Tucker and being like, you say you know and you were friends with Cody, and he's literally one of the best players that have played the game. Not a big deal. Thanks. Shout out to Joseph. Appreciate you, bro. And you didn't think to speak to him about strategy going into the game. Obviously, the strategy that Tucker is playing this game with, it's hard. It's not really strategy. I mean, I will say this. What he did this week as the HOH had a lot of strategic elements to it. There was a lot of theatrics that went along with that I think are not really great to do. But I have to add this caveat. Tucker is playing and doing the best that he can right now. He's already put himself in a position of, I got to win out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Nobody wants to play against Tucker. Nobody wants to be at the end of the game against Tucker. And all the conversations surrounding that are, he's won too many competitions, which still shows that winning competitions in Big Brother is a big part of getting to the end of the game and having something to talk about. Now, winning this many competitions early is never a good thing. Nominating yourself on the block, Tucker, is never a good thing. Putting yourself in a position to show how good you are at competitions, Tucker, is never a good thing. So the strategy that he's kind of built up to this point, not great. Tucker has a little bit of like a Zach Rance feel to me, where it's just like, I want chaos in the house, except I will say, there's more strategy when it comes to Tucker, and there's obviously a better competitor when it comes to like winning competitions. And I also feel like Zach was a lot funnier, and maybe I'm just biased because I was on seasons with Zach and I love him to death, but like Zach to me is just one of the funniest human beings on the planet. But there's similarities, if you know what I mean. And let me know down below, do you guys think that there is this like kind of similarity between Tucker and Zach? Because it almost feels that way. Right? It almost feels like they both just want chaos in the house and like they don't really care how they're going to get it done as long as they just like do it by any means possible. So I will say, all of that aside, Tucker wins the HOH, right? And his strategy of blowing up this massive alliance and crippling it is really important. And what I will also say is that Tucker may not be the one that reaps all the benefits of destroying this alliance, but this needed to happen, right? Chemo goes and tells Tucker about the Collective Alliance, and within the Collective Alliance, the Pentagon Alliance. Now, what I completely disagree that Tucker did was blow all that up. Chemo has now told Tucker 2 bits of information that are really, really important bits of information, really crucial things in the game, secrets, stuff that you don't want people to find out about. And Chemo trusted that to Tucker. And 2 times Tucker has blown that up. And so Chemo now knows I can no longer tell Tucker anything because 2 times I've told him something, 2 times it's now leaked to the entire house. That's going to obviously get back to me. That's going to hurt my game. So although the entertainment that we're watching that is occurring on the season due to Tucker, the gameplay behind it is not great because you don't want to burn those bridges with allies of yours that are bringing you information from areas of the house that you don't get information from. And Chemo is doing that. You never blow that up, ever. You always allow that relationship to be nurtured and always keep it in the best graces so that that information, that faucet, you never want that faucet turned off. So I don't love that 2 times Chemo has brought information to Tucker and Tucker has blown it up. It's not great gameplay. I will say, mentioning Chemo, I think Chemo he just gets this game. Chemo and T-Core specifically have really flourished in a way that has kind of shown they're gamers. Like this week also showed a lot of different people that are gamers. One person I'm very happy that saved the week. I know Chrissy's going to be super happy about this as well. Chelsea. She's our favorite in the household.
Yeah.
We love Chelsea.
I still want her to win. I called her from the beginning.
You did. Chelsea was I should say Charlie. I'm sorry. I didn't mean Chelsea. I mean Charlie.
I still can't believe you did that.
I know. So Chelsea is definitely our favorite in the game. Chelsea's a gamer, and we got to see a little bit of that gamer on the block this week, which I thought was great. We didn't see a lot of Chelsea kind of going around begging everybody, like, are you going to vote for me? Are you going to do this? She just kind of went around and was just being herself, making sure that people wanted to keep her in the house. And then one of those people was T-Core, who was really trying to keep Chelsea in the house, even if Brooklyn came off the block, which would have been great to see if Chelsea and Cam were on the block, if that flip would have actually happened. But neither here nor there. We're going to kick that can down the road. It's going to happen in another week. But Chelsea is just a gamer. We saw Chelsea press Quinn a little bit to try to find out the information. And again, the information is going to circle back to Chemo and T-Core, because now that Tucker vocalizes information, it makes somebody like Chelsea be like, where did that info come from? She thought it was Quinn. She now finds out it was Chemo and T-Core, which is going to make Chelsea, who is absolutely a gamer, think twice about what she says in front of them, to them, and think twice about that relationship. So there was a lot of different things happening this week. Ultimately, I think the thought process by Tucker was absolutely the right strategy. I think that Chelsea and Brooklyn are 2 of the better gamers in the house. I think that, gamers in the house to me so far this season are Tucker's a gamer. Do I agree with his strategy? Not necessarily, but he's a gamer. He's playing the game. I think T-Core's a gamer. I think Chemo's a gamer. I think Brooklyn was a gamer. I think Chelsea is a gamer. Those are people that if you're somebody winning competitions and in a position to put people on the block to go home, you put them on the block to send them home, because those to me are people that can get to the end of the game and will do it strategically and then be able to vocalize what their game was at the end, whether it was competitions, whether it was a social element, whether it was a combination of social or competition. People like that are going to be able to vocalize their game very well. And so I think Tucker going after Brooklyn and Chelsea and putting Brooklyn and Chelsea both on the block and ensuring that one of them was going to remain on the block this week was good gameplay. That was great. Pulling Quinn down was good to make sure that your targets go home. Now, what I will say is that he should have pulled down Cam. Quinn should have stayed on the block. Cam should have come down. Chelsea should have went up. Because Quinn is like that little rat in the game that you think you're doing something for him to hope that he's going to help you in the future, and he just never will.
Can I say something?
Yeah, please.
I think
he
took Quinn down as like a manipulation thing because he outed the Pentagon in that same breath. And he was like, I actually know all about the collective. The collective. And I know who's in the smaller group. And he named them all. And then he said, oh, and Quinn, I'm doing you a favor. It was basically like subliminally saying, Quinn told me all this information, so I'm being nice and taking him down. But in turn, I'm outing him and throwing him under the bus.
Okay.
In front of everyone right now.
Okay.
For being a tattletale.
So what I will say to that is, one, I don't agree, because I'll tell you why I don't agree. Tucker wasn't thinking about doing anything to damage Quinn's game in that moment. That's not how Tucker's line of thinking it.
If you agree with me and you think that's a genius take, let me know in the comments.
Okay, first of all, it's not a genius take. And I'm telling you right now why it's not a genius take. Tucker wasn't thinking about damaging or putting anything onto Quinn. He wasn't thinking, okay, I'm going to out this alliance to Quinn because and put it on Quinn because I want him as a target. You literally pulled him off the block. He was doing it as a jab at Brooklyn because he felt that Brooklyn and Chelsea were the masterminds. And so he did it to like stick it to the two of them. It had nothing to do with putting it on Quinn. Inherently, it almost like seemed like it was going to work that way until Chelsea pressed Quinn and then Quinn spilled the beans on everything. So he wasn't planning to do it that way. I can appreciate the take, but that's like what that take was right there was like a rookie Big Brother person watching the show. And
what?
And that's just how they feel watching the show.
It was very thoughtful.
It was thoughtful.
The feeling you get watching it is like, wow, he's kind of putting it out there that Quinn gave him all this info.
No, he wasn't putting. So you're thinking in terms of like, this is what Christy likes to do. I'm giving you a little insight into our relationship as well. Christy likes to project her own like scenario and truth. Hold on, wait, I'm not done yet. You perceive and you project your own perception onto an actual reality and then say that's what was happening. It's a great gameplay. But it's like you need the person to tell you that's the gameplay as well. And Tucker in no way, shape, or form did that. And so Christy likes to do that sometimes, guys. This is how it kind of
you're gonna sound like you're sounding not nice.
Christy does this all the time. She's always like, I feel like you never clean everything. And I'm like, I clean everything. That's what we're talking about.
Oh my God.
It's like, a little bit. I swear to God. Guys, I swear I clean up after myself. I swear. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. I don't think Tucker was doing anything to project it onto Quinn. I don't think that there was any strategy behind it other than I want to call you out, Brooklyn, and I want to make sure you're known on what I think you were doing in this game, and I'm pointing it out, and I'm throwing you up there, and I'm making you fight for your life. So, we have that occur. The veto meeting has this. Brooklyn takes the stance of like Tucker's intimidated by her, which is a really interesting stance. I completely disagree with it. I don't think there's any like intimidation. It's just strategic. It's a strategic gameplay. It's like, now I think, she was going that route, and I don't know if she was going this route as like a strategy, but like these are the kind of things that drive me a little bit crazy. It's like, oh, he's intimidated by me. It's like, no, he's not. You literally are working on the opposite side of him. He found out about alliances that he felt you were running. He was not included, and so you're the target. There's not an intimidation factor. It's Big Brother. It's like, if you're not working with me, you're working against me, so go on the block and go home. Intimidation doesn't really have anything to do with that, and she went out of the house. It kind of goes along the lines. It's like when you're in the house and you're on the opposite side of somebody, they don't have to be intimidated. They don't have to dislike you. It could be as simple as like, we're not working together. You're working on the opposite side of me. Go up on the block and go home. It's not a matter of like who I think is the biggest threat. Now, he did say that he felt that Brooklyn was running that side of the house, but it's like, does that mean that it's intimidated? I don't think Tucker's intimidated by anybody, because the way that Tucker correlates this game right now, and you can tell based off how he speaks, is very competition oriented. It's very much so like, put me up, I'll win and come off. Very much so like, put me on the block. If I lose the veto, I'll win the AI arena. It has nothing to do with like this strategic element that is what Brooklyn was bringing to the game, which I do think Brooklyn was very strategic. I do think Brooklyn brought an element of strategy into the game. So it is unfortunate to see a strategic gamer like that go home. But for Tucker, I do think it was good to, I don't even know if necessarily I can say for Tucker it was good. For other people in the house, it was good, because Tucker is literally going to be public enemy number one every single week. Whether he wins or not, that's what's going to determine when he stays or goes. because Tucker needs to win to stay in the game, because quite frankly, even if Rubina was in the HOH, she very well might put Tucker on the block just to prove, that she's not playing the game for a man, because that's what she mentioned this week. So it's just like, just play the game. Just play the game. Tucker's going to be an ally of yours. And I could feel like outside of Rubina, everybody else is going to be like, dude, Tucker's got to go. Even his own alliance, maybe not Joseph, but like, you think T-Core's going to win an HOH? And because they're in an alliance, not put Tucker on the block? T-Core's a schemer. T-Core's a gamer. T-Core. What?
Down the line, but she wouldn't do it like next week.
I think T-Core would do it next week. T-Core is a schemer. T-Core showed you this week that if Tucker goes against what she wants, she's willing to flip it, even if that's the HOH and that's the person that she's in an alliance with. And so what I will say to this is like kind of my final thought on the week and how everything played out was we almost saw a flip happen. And that flip was going to be generated by if Chelsea was still on the block next to Cam. Because if Brooklyn was on the block, they were always going to vote Brooklyn out. But if Chelsea was on the block next to Cam, Tucker wanted Cam to stay. T-Core wanted Chelsea to stay. And T-Core started having those conversations with Rubina, with Chemo, and was trying to find the numbers where she had Rubina, Chemo, herself, Brooklyn, obviously, if Brooklyn came off the block. And so they had Quinn. So they had the numbers. And what, if anybody's really paying attention, what they should see right here with T-Core is that she's willing to flip no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter whether one person or whether a group thinks they should do something. T-Core's willing to flip. She flipped on the collective last week. She was willing to flip on the alliance this week, and she was already putting the groundwork in to get Chemo and get even Rubina, Tucker's showmance, to flip and even go to Tucker and try to change his mind on it. So like, what I will say to that, if anybody's paying attention in the house, T-Core is a gamer, absolute gamer. We're seeing it on the outside. If they're not noticing it on the inside, it's going to be too late. She's probably going to cut your throat and send you out the door, because T-Core is a gamer and Chemo's a gamer. And so the two of them, we were talking about this on the recap episode that we did where, they were people that were in the middle. They were in the middle of the game, but you wanted to see them kind of like come to life and show how they can have control. What is their influence in the game? And what we saw right after we did that Tuesday recap was that Chemo and T-Core have a ton of influence in the game. And that's your social game. Your social game is, what influence do you have in the game? What influence do you have to swing a vote, to make the HOH put up who you want to be on the block, to make sure the HOH doesn't put up who you want on the block? Your influence is your social game. A part of your social game, a big part of your social game, because your social game is going to be how likable you are and how trustworthy you are. And then your influence is that extra element to make sure that like you actually have a social game. If you're social and you're liked, that's great. People will keep you in the house until they no longer care to keep you in the house. But if you have a social game and you have influence, that's the bread and butter that you want. Add a little bit of competition wins in there when you need to. You have a gamer that can actually go to the end of the game. So T-Core definitely has the makings of that. We're seeing it. We're seeing it live on the season. I have to say, I have not been this excited going into the eviction nights in a long time. The AI arena, I have to continue to shout out the producers for Big Brother to coming up with this new twist. It's a very interesting twist. It's great. It allows different scenarios to happen, because with 3 people on the block, it's not as clear cut for the house what they're going to do, because there's different people that may have different scenarios based on who ends up on the block that would benefit them the most. And we're seeing that happen the last 2 weeks. We were seeing it almost boil over again this week. It happened last week. We almost saw it boil over again this week. We love this stuff. We love Big Brother. This season has been one of the more entertaining seasons. I'm really enjoying it. I'm eager to see what happens next. The HOH competition is going to be going on. One of the things I wish we could talk about is who won the HOH, and I'm waiting for one of these HOH competitions to be on the live eviction episode, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it while we still have the AI arena. Final thought for this week is what we're seeing this season is that people are not afraid to play their own game, even if that game is outside of the HOH's game. So last week we saw it. This week we were seeing it again. There's people in this house, T-Core, Chemo, Rubina. Last week it was kind of Leah going along with it. But, the people that are the mover and shakers in the game, that, like T-Core, Chemo, Tucker, people like that are not afraid to play games outside of who the people in power are, which is definitely making for a really interesting season. Really enjoying it, really liking what this season has brought, really liking the people that they've casted on this season. It's definitely a very good group that has come together to bring a lot of entertainment. The gameplay isn't the greatest outside of maybe a handful. Like I do feel Chelsea is a good gamer. I do feel T-Core is a good gamer. I do feel Chemo's a good gamer. I like Tucker's competitive edge, but I think more of that will be shown because I do think there are other people like Joseph and Quinn who everything kind of blew up in Quinn's face because he was super reckless, and it's giving him an opportunity to kind of reinvent himself in the house and see if he can adjust, or is he just going to continue to play sloppy. So there's people in the house that I still think can, come around, like the Josephs and the Quinns, but it's been very entertaining. Last thing I want to touch on, if you are in the Big Brother house and you do anything wrong this season to Angela, you are going home. Okay? Brooklyn ate her meats and cheeses.
Oh my God, I didn't even realize that.
And this lady was having a breakdown. She's laying on the ground in the living room, just staring at the ceiling. The fact that no one went over and noticed and was like, Angela, you good, girl, or are you not?
It's all because of the charcuterie.
Yeah, she had a meltdown because her charcuterie was eaten. Now, if I'm being honest, Christy and I were sitting on the couch looking at that charcuterie board that was put together so beautifully.
Good.
It was crafted so beautifully, and it looked phenomenal. You had the prosciutto wrapped in mousse. You had the salami in the glass that made a nice little rose. You had the perfectly sliced cheeses. If you don't know this about me, you're about to find out. I love a charcuterie board. I love cheese. I love meat, and I love it. And I walk into a party, and the meats and cheeses are right there. Boom. When I go to weddings, first stop is the meats and cheeses. And then I dabble in everything else. I love it. And when they put that together, it was great. But what I will say, we have another victim to crossing Angela, and it was Brooklyn. And now she goes home. It's almost like the theme of the season is you cross Angela, you go home. So everybody better watch their back.
That's kind of wild.
It's kind of like the subliminal thing
But
of the
not
season.
Cedric, he didn't cross her, right?
He put her on the block the week prior. See you later. See you later. You cross Angela this season, you're going home.
Oh my,
She's the kiss of death.
That same week. Too.
She's the kiss of death. So you better watch out. If anybody this season crosses Angela, you're going home. She's the kiss of death. Stay away from her. Put her on the block. Don't give her a chance to play. When there's a double eviction, send her home or else you're in trouble. Listen, I appreciate you guys joining me here on the Winners Circle. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications again. We have a lot of fun stuff happening. Really excited about a guest that I'm having on. Can't wait. You guys are going to like this episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. We had another fun week of Big Brother this week, and I will see you back here next week.